Welcome to Diary of a Holistic Nutritionist. Last time we spoke about trans fat, and one major thing we drew out is the fact that there are two types, natural and artificial. Each has its own issues, but the one that is not natural, the artificial, the factory-made trans fat is particularly dangerous to the body. Your body is going to react to it in a way that is inimical, in a way that's not in the interest of your health. Please review that video if you did not watch it. Today we are going to speak on saturated fats. I am your host, Olakpeju Osemubo, a scientist, a researcher, and certified holistic nutritionist. We want to talk about saturated fats so that we can go to the next level of what we're trying to do. Remember, we said there's something you need to know about fats. They are either solid or liquid. And the solid ones, they are solid at room temperature outside the refrigerator, while the oils are liquid outside the refrigerator. And we also said that all fats contain the same kind of components. What makes them different is the number of the carbon chain in them and the level of saturation. We are not going into any further details than that. And we said trans fat, especially artificial ones, are very, very bad. The natural one should be consumed in moderation. Now we're talking about saturated fat. Like trans fat, saturated fats are solid also at room temperature. That is when you have not tossed them into the fridge. It's found again in animal products. So you have your meat, whether it's pork, fish, chicken, all of them. Even egg has saturated fat. Also, some oils have saturated fat, yet they may not even be solid, but they have saturated fat. Recall we said that there's hardly any food that has only one type of nutrient. Foods have many different nutrients. So now you know that it is possible for you to see a liquid, and inside that liquid, it has saturated fat. So tropical oils like coconut, like palm oil, have saturated fat. Because they are typically solid at room temperature, we want to always talk in terms of artificial trans fat, because the natural trans fat and the natural saturated fat, you will not be able to distinguish between them. So what it now calls for is moderation in the use of fat that is solid at room temperature. I'll take that again. Because you are not able to differentiate between trans fat and saturated fat on your own, it is important that you consume saturated fat in moderation. And remember that even those oils that are not solid, many of them, some of them have saturated fat, such as our coconut oil and our palm oil. If you see a palm oil that looks like it's almost, in our local parlance here, we say it's sleeping. When you see it really thick, it's almost going, it has a lot of saturated fat in it. That's why it's that way. So we are now saying that in order to maintain health. Be careful as you eat items that have food that have saturated fat. Make sure those foods are natural food. Egg is natural, so you can eat eggs. You can use coconut oil, you can use palm oil. And the list is long, provided they are natural produce. As much as possible, stay away from products that are made in factories and they have used a long process, and some of the things they have used, especially when oil is involved, whether frying or roasting, and they have used whether saturated or trans fat. We have no way of distinguishing between the two because the two of them share the same characteristic of being solid at room temperature. And our bodies interact with them differently than the natural products. We want to go on to make sure we go into monounsaturated and then give you a bird's eye view on fats and oils so that your choices become easier to make as you go to the market or supermarket and you make your choices, or as you mix the kind of food that you want to eat together. Please share our video, like us, and generate discussion, subscribe, and press the notification button, and you'll be sure to know when we have a new episode. So until then, remember that wellness is the basis of health and beauty. See you then.